Okay, my name is RebeccaMorrison. I teach 8th grade math and Algebra 1. Some of my former students are all sitting here, so that's going to make me a little more nervous. My grant was for boogie boards, and they look like this, so I brought some with me. And it's kind of like a whiteboard without a marker. So you can even write on it with your finger. And when you're finished, you just hit the little button, and it goes away. So my idea was to see if we could go paperless, and if going paperless in the classroom would help increase student engagement and student achievement. So I wrote it for boogie boards and also stick-on whiteboard surfaces. The boogie boards were a hit, whiteboard surfaces were not. And the reason why, I'll read that in a second. The reason why I have textured walls, and they do not stick well at all to textured walls. So I even tried to hot glue them, stuck them up overnight, come back, they're in the floor. So I had way more success with the boogie boards than I had. Now, my students love to write on the whiteboards. It's just I couldn't get them stuck to the wall. So that was my issue. What I found with the boogie boards is that it did have a positive impact on my student achievement and engagement. Students were excited to work on these. For some reason, students who would not engage with paper pencil, if I said grab a boogie board, they were ready to work. Another very good thing about these is that I checked problems immediately. Like I would put a problem on the board, they would do it, and I would check it immediately. So students didn't do 20 problems, and then I go through and find that somebody's missed 10 of them. So I could check as we went, formative assessment, and we fix it as we go. It also allowed me to use students as teachers. So if students held their board up and I had 3 who had it perfectly worked out, then they got up and they were my teachers to help teach everyone else. So I had students complete their problems on the board one at a time, and we held them up. Now the one drawback to the boogie boards is that they're not very bright. So I had to go all around the room, which I do anyway, but when you're doing one problem at a time and kids are so excited and they holler, Miss Morrison, Miss Morrison, Miss Morrison, Miss Morrison. So one thing I did that's connected with these, but it was just something I did. I had the students in their little pods, and they would take a picture with their iPhones or with an iPad and then airdrop it to me. So if I was working with a group that needed extra attention over here, they could airdrop me their pictures and I could mark on them and airdrop them back. So they could get feedback immediately even if I was on the other side of the room. So it's just another little way to use those. And that's what I was trying to get to. That's an example. Some of my students' work, and they airdropped those pictures to me. The one other drawback that we had about boogie boards was you can't erase just part of it. So if you see here, we had some things marked out. So we just learned to adapt. If we made a mistake, we just scribbled that part out and wrote over top of it, or another thing, I don't know how many of you are familiar with like quadratic formula, but it takes an entire page. So if you squeeze quadratic formula on here, and they would hold them up sometimes and hit the button as they held them up. And they would say, oh no, but they were really good about redoing it. What I did find with data, and I'm a math person, so I love data. What I found with it is that it didn't matter the content. I tested it throughout different things. If I was solving a day, I would come in and say, okay, paper, pencil. I didn't have the student engagement that I had if I came in and said, grab a boogie board. Also, scores on whatever we were doing. They were much better on the days that I used the boogie boards than on days that I just used paper, pencil. I even gave a quiz where it was multiple choice, and they just wrote their answers on here, and then they airdropped me, and so I could grade it. Their quiz grades were better if they used the boogie board. And I can't explain it. I don't know if it's just because it was something new. something, that was different than paper pencil, but it worked. So do I have any questions? I told you I had some of my kids sitting here. Their question was, why didn't we have this last year? Oh, good question. These were like $20 on Amazon. Yeah, they were not bad at all. And sometimes you can find them, Walmart had them discounted at one point for $8. So they're really nice. I've only had one, so we've used them since I got them. I've only had one that stopped erasing, and I contacted, and they're supposed to be sending another one. So nothing. There's a little battery right here. The original ones didn't have a battery, but these do. And you just take that screw out, and it's a little circle battery. You put it back in, and that's what lets it light up and erase. They're there till I've used them. Nope, none of them have run out. And also, I knew it would do this, but I hadn't figured out how. One of my students figured out that you can put the pen in like this, and then they just stood them up on their desk. So it's a little tripod-like thing. Any other questions? Yes. It's in the process. Let me tell you, it's in the process of being done, I think. So that's the other math teacher at our school. Why don't they have them? I will tell you that they got excited about this, and I think I put some of their, I asked them, how do you feel about the boogie boards? I like them 10 times better than working on paper, and they're fun. Love them. I really do love them, and they make it easier to learn. And then another student told me later, I wish we would use them every day. So that's how I've used them just about every day. Yesterday I tried, so I do little experiments here and there. I went in and I did 2 classes with boogie boards, and I did one without, the same exact lesson, same exact review. Yesterday my kids who worked on the boogie boards, they went through and everything was fine, and my kids who did paper pencil was like this. So I don't know what it is, but it works. Thank you.